And good morning, Ozarks. We're here with the Waffle. We've got Jason Wells with us. We're going to talk about some fitness stuff, but we're going to talk about Los Compadres breakfast in Rogersville right after this.
You really like the season 4 thing, don't you,
Makes
Will?
me chuckle.
It just reminds me how old I am.
Well, yeah, now we've been sitting here doing this for 4 years.
Yeah.
And nobody watches still.
Yeah, well, that's okay, you know.
Beth watches, and she said good morning.
Good morning, Beth.
Good morning,
Thanks for
Beth.
watching. We can count on Beth.
Beth will always do this, even if you're our only
As long as
viewer.
Beth is here.
As long as we have Beth, it's happening.
For sure.
We have a special
We
guest.
do. Jason, thanks for coming.
Hello, Jason.
Thanks for having me, guys.
As soon as Los Compadres started serving breakfast, I went in there and I said to Melvin, I said, you need to come on the Morning Waffle so we can talk to people about your breakfast in your
Brekkie.
restaurant. He said, call Jason. I said, Jason who? I said, Jason Wells. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll talk to Jason Wells. I know Jason Wells. We'll get that done. So here you are.
Yeah, he asked me to come on, obviously. Melvin he's a pretty busy guy. We've got multiple restaurants. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
I helped him kind of design that breakfast side of things. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of the spearhead behind it when it comes to talking to people about
because
it.
That's
you're
good.
their food rep.
Correct, yeah, I'm
Right.
their food rep.
So
Yep.
when they get their ingredients, they order them through you.
Correct.
Yeah, and so how did that come about with the conversation?
Yeah, I'm
about-
curious about this.
So, I'd been his food rep since he'd been open, since he opened here in Rogersville.
Yeah.
I knew him from previous restaurants that he'd worked at years in the past. I've been doing in a food business for food sales almost 20 years. So
you know your food.
I do.
Yes, yes.
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 And, there's multiple restaurants in that segment around town
Yeah.
and close by. And I was trying to think, can we do to separate us from the pack?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm a Rogersville guy.
That's
and
good.
People are always talking about how we need breakfast. So
We need breakfast.
Constantly.
and he's got everything you need from equipment-wise to do breakfast.
Oh, yeah,
So
that makes
like,
perfect sense.
Hey, why don't we do breakfast? And it was probably a 6-month conversation.
Yeah.
Before, out of the
Hi,
blue,
Vicky.
I'd actually pretty much given up.
Yeah.
And he comes to me one day and says, let's do breakfast.
Okay.
I like it.
And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Are there any other Mexican you do food? So are there any other? I know Tony's in Nixa does breakfast.
Yes.
Does anybody else do breakfast?
There's
That
a-
seems
there's
like an odd combo, but
there's a
yet it
handful.
also makes a ton of
Yeah,
sense.
There's a handful. Not very many, no.
Yeah,
So,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, their menu setup is like perfect, right? It's exactly what you want when you walk into a breakfast place. You've got your classics right there, and then a couple of things to go along the line with Mexican, which makes perfect sense to me. And they've done a great job taking that leap, right? It's a big leap.
It was a learning curve for them.
Yeah.
Because not one person that works there had ever cooked breakfast or worked in a breakfast restaurant.
Really?
So
No
You
way.
wouldn't know
No,
that.
no.
No, they did a
Amazing.
good job.
it was so what we did when he decided was, I was like, all right, well, let's get some breakfast ingredients in.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll come in Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
I'll teach you how to prep it. I said, Saturday, why don't you invite, family and friends over,
Yeah.
and we'll go through the whole menu and
Very
make sure you
cool.
guys are comfortable. Breakfast is not a difficult
Yeah, I can do it.
thing to cook.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It's more or less being organized. 'Cause
Yeah.
It does get busy. Well, he posts that we're going to be open Saturday.
Boom.
So, so I'm like, so I tell my wife, I'm like, well, I guess I'll be cooking Saturday. So,
Cancel the day.
so I went up and I did. I cooked. I got there at 5:30 in the morning with
That's
them. And
great.
showed them how to do everything. And they picked it up real quick. Saturday,
Oh, yeah.
I cooked probably 90% of the orders, and then Sunday they pretty much kicked me to the side and said, "Here, you just take care of biscuits and gravy." And they took it over from there, and they picked it up.
That's
Well,
good.
that's what I was going to say. Breakfast is not hard to cook, but there are a couple of things that are difficult to just get right. One is biscuits and gravy,
Yep.
and they have nailed it.
They have good
the
biscuits and gravy.
Sausage gravy is fantastic. It's
good.
really, really good. The other is like eggs to order.
That is
Yeah.
a
And so,
tricky beast.
I like over easy eggs, and that's hard to do. Gets it every time.
Yeah,
That's good. That's impressive.
Ulysses is a cook.
Yeah, we
right?
spent a lot of time that first Saturday morning because I said, "Do you know what an over easy egg is?" No. Do you know what an over medium egg is? No.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to teach you how to do this real quick.
Well, they can do it.
And just showed him how to do it. And it is. It's a split second difference between
Oh my gosh.
an over easy and over medium.
Stresses
So,
me out. I've been cooking for a
Yeah,
long
it really
time,
is,
and
but
it
no,
stresses
I
me
mean,
out
it's
still on eggs.
Been right every time I've gotten it, and I've gotten it probably 20 or 30 times since
Oh, yeah.
I opened.
And they've only been open 10 days.
And they've only been open 10 days. And yeah,
Pretty
no
certain you might have paid their rent.
it's possible. It's entirely possible. But I'm happy to do that. I'm so glad they're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been
make
there
sure.
once a week ago today. We took our staff and had breakfast there, and I got the breakfast burrito, and I was like, I'm in a Mexican restaurant. I'll get it with the chorizo.
Chorizo,
And
that's
it
what I
was
got.
Fantastic.
Very
I really
tasty.
enjoyed it.
Now,
Yeah.
the one thing that I did do is their portions are huge.
They are.
And
Their
so
Wildcat plate
it
is
finally,
big.
I finally
Yeah.
got them to, like, I said, I want the open face breakfast sandwich with sausage, but I really only want half of it.
Correct.
And it took a couple of tries, but I finally got him to bring me, like, you only want half the biscuit. I'm like, yeah, just half the biscuit, one egg, one patty of sausage, and gravy. I don't need the whole biscuit in two eggs, two sausage, and gravy. That's just, I can eat all of that. That's not a
Yeah.
problem. Eating it is not the problem. It's that I shouldn't eat
Every morning,
every
yeah.
morning, all of that.
Part of that's my problem. I'm one of those go big or go home
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
people.
No, I can't tell.
And
Yeah,
I think
Rick,
you probably
Rick,
have
Rick
more-
Bernie says, get the Bernie.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
Bernie.
have you seen that thing?
I almost ordered it in honor of our good friend Rick
I saw
Bernie.
the menu, but I haven't
so
got
next
it.
Time,
It's
next
a
time.
platter.
Is it
I mean,
huge?
it is huge.
All right, I'll go in there real hungry one time.
Like
and
you
just
could
get
probably
that.
share it with somebody. And be
Yeah, but Jason, you look like you can burn a few more calories than
So-
I can.
I can't.
So
Probably.
Yeah.
Jason, did you tell them to make it huge in honor of Rick? Is that like a, is
No,
that a
I'm
play
not
on
going down
words?
that.
Or?
I'm not going down that road. No, you know what's when we were doing
Love you, Rick.
when we were making the menu. So my brother-in-law, he's the executive chef for Performance Food Group. who I
Chef
work
Lou.
for.
Hi, Chef.
He actually wrote the menu for me.
It's a great menu.
And he did a really good job with it. I changed the names on things to kind of give it a Rogersville spin. You know,
Perfect. Yep.
And everybody knows Rick.
Yep.
And he for years, obviously he ran Mighty Mike football. And when he was ready to step down, him and JP Sell called me and say, "Hey, can you meet us at Sky Dragon for dinner?" Now I'd coached for several years.
Yeah.
And so we go to Sky Dragon, and I'm like, okay, whatever, And they cornered me and said, "Hey,
They cornered
Rick
me.
says I don't have the time to put into it anymore, and we want you to take it over." And I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I did, So I did. So I always give Rick a hard time that he's the reason why I spend so much time with football. But I actually enjoy it. But so it's kind of a poke back at him, but.
That's awesome.
Like I said, everybody knows him. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
That's
to
a
do,
lot of fun. So you coach. Okay, what specifically do you coach?
Okay, so I coach 14U baseball and 11U baseball for our RBI program, for the junior high program for Coach Little.
Okay.
And then I help with the Wildcat Football Academy. So my actual board title would be VP, the vice president. Rick's the president.
Oh, cool.
So I take care of most of the day-to-day league stuff, making sure we have the right equipment.
Yeah.
The teams set up, and then I travel with the teams on our away games. And
Very cool.
Make sure
It's a huge commitment. Thank
people
you.
act the way we're supposed to be acting. So
Thank you.
That's a
It's
challenge.
very
That's
important.
good,
Yeah.
especially in sports.
It is. You know what, though? We have a great group of parents.
That's awesome.
at
That's
Rogers.
great.
We just don't have the issues. Like, we have league meetings twice a year, and some of the things I hear that these other directors have to do, and I'm like, I don't have to do any of that.
That's
Like,
good.
So,
Well, I think, and let's give Rick some honor there. I mean, that's part of the culture that was built, and you're just continuing that on,
That's
right?
all
I
it is,
mean,
yep.
and that's the thing. Like you talk about these other places that have to deal with other stuff, probably because they're not addressing culture. They're just trying to do the thing. You know, sports. Any of us as coaches, we just go do the X's and O's, but it's really about building into culture, not just a winning culture, but a team and a family and a community mindset. And when I look at what you guys have done, I see that from a coach of another sport. I look in and see you guys have done a great
Well,
job.
and everybody's
with that.
learned how important
cool.
culture is because of Ted Lasso now. So.
Well, that's fair. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I'd play soccer under Coach Lasso.
we all would,
Terribly.
right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd probably have a heart attack halfway down the field, but I'd try. I'd try for Coach.
Yeah. Anything for that man.
It's cool. I mean, that's really neat, and that's a lot that you're giving back to your community by just doing that. If you're not, and I'm not a coach, so I don't know, but if you're not coaching, the amount of time that these people are putting into something is unbelievable, and it's something. It really is.
Well, and the more you get to know Jason, the more you find out he's one of those guys, because
Yeah.
we got the career with the food, we got the coaching and all that, and a whole nother side business that he runs too.
yeah. So actually, me and my wife, we own the Anytime Fitness gyms in Springfield, Missouri.
Oh, okay,
So,
cool.
Yeah, good.
It really is a side gig. I have really good managers that run the gyms for me.
That's
so
awesome.
I don't have to do a whole lot when it comes to the managerial side of things.
Yeah.
Looks like you just get in there and work out a
I
little.
just go and work out.
All right, that's
well,
good.
you've got three people here that are entrepreneurial, and so we understand that you can say they run themselves and all this stuff. We understand
Yeah,
what it means to
they
own
don't-
a
Yeah.
business.
Right, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always that piece to it there. You are overseeing it. I've been blessed with good people for the day-to-day operation part of it.
That's
It's
great.
And honestly, gyms, the way they're set up, they don't require a lot.
Yeah.
Cleanliness, that's the most
Sure.
important thing in
Sure.
a gym.
Yeah.
And, Kara runs my Battlefield location. She's been there for 5+ years. Mm-hmm. And no offense, most females clean better than males.
I don't think
I'm
that
not
offends
offended.
anybody.
That's so funny.
And
Or
also,
this.
she
Common
does a great
knowledge.
In
job.
fact, I'll just stop and say thank you,
Yeah.
females, for being better
Yeah.
at cleaning than
And
me.
my Republic Road location is ran by a guy named Luke, and Luke's ex-military. I just remember when he
Okay,
started,
yeah.
He's in the bathroom cleaning the toilets, and I walk in there, and he's using a toothbrush, and I'm like, you really are military.
Yeah, it's like, you don't have to do it.
I
That
told
way.
him, I was like,
There's other options.
We spend a lot of money on this really expensive cleaner. But he's anal retentive on the cleanliness also. And, that's the same thing as the sports, trying to create an atmosphere inside the gym that's inviting for everybody. We're not a bro gym. We're not really a bodybuilding gym. We have bodybuilders there, but we want to be the educational gym. We do a lot of free seminars.
That's cool.
We're very picky about the trainers we hire to come in and work with clients because we want to be educational. We want to get people results. My background is I used to be a real big guy, and if anybody around Rogersville knows, I used to be a real big guy. At one point in time, I weighed 480 pounds. So I'm pretty passionate about helping people become healthier and having balance.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's good.
When you first came across my radar here recently, it was within, I think it was because I got connected with the chef organization and
Right.
got to know you again. And I had looked and seen that you had started there and really made a real turnaround and change and got healthy and all of that. So I think it's a fascinating story.
That is amazing.
If there's more to that, I'd love to hear more about how that happened.
Yeah.
For you. Because that's so hard for so many people.
I grew up in a family, like my dad's a big guy, and he's got a ton of health issues. And as you're growing up, you see that, and you're like, oh, I got time to change. And you just, and I was in the food business. I'm a foodie by nature, so one of the first things I remember him having was gout.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember that. So, and it was Thanksgiving Day of 2016. I had a gout attack, and it shocked me to death.
Oh,
I was
I bet,
my
yeah.
God, here we go. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. So I go to the doctor. I get on the scale. Now, I had not weighed myself in who knows how long. And at this point in time in my life, I was a fairly active big guy. I mean, I still coached football, ran around with my kids, you know.
Yeah.
And I stepped on the scale, and it was like 477. I'm like, hey, your scale's broke. She's like, no. And, of course, you know, I go in with the doctor, and she's talking about gout. I'm asking about what we're going to do about this weight. And her response was, you can be healthy at any weight. And I'm like, well, not until you have a heart attack. I mean,
Yeah.
So she sent me to a nutritionist, which kind of gave me like a diabetic diet, which didn't spend a lot of time. Like, I was probably in her office for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I got out, thought, you know, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to quit drinking soda. You know, those things. The first month I lost 30 pounds, and then I kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so my niece used to do bodybuilding competitions, so she understands nutrition. I'm reaching out to her, and she's like, you know, just hire a coach. And I'm like, maybe, yeah. So I hire a guy named John Gorman, who at the time owned Anytime Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a big I didn't hire him at first because I thought he was just a bodybuilding coach, but really that's only about 30% of his business. So I hired him. He wrote a diet for me from, you know, flexible dieting. Kind of just gave me my protein, fats, and carbs that I should be eating each day.
Yeah.
And I started seeing, you know, 2 pounds, 3 pounds a week fall off, and then it became a game. I'm a numbers guy, being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So the macro diet was great because it's kind of like a big puzzle that you cut your own pieces to.
Sure.
You're just trying to hit numbers. And I thought it was a game, so that was nice for me.
Yeah.
So we, you know, I just kept doing that, and I'm a black and white person. I'm either all in or all out. So once I'd committed, I was in there, and it just kept on coming off. And then, you know, he is great at teaching also. And I told him I wanted to learn everything I could about, you know, making people healthier.
Yeah.
From a coaching standpoint. So, so I could help people, you know, and we've been together since 2017. So I still pay him. Like, I could write my own diet.
Yeah.
But I still pay him to be my diet coach every year because it takes the guesswork out for me.
Yeah.
And I'm busy.
And like holds you accountable, right? You got somebody there.
I'm an entrepreneur, so I know that if I'm going to put money into something, I'm going to get an ROI.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and so I know if I'm paying him, I'm going to do what he tells me to do.
That is incredible. And I mean, I don't know if you want to say how many pounds you lost because.
So at one point in time, I got down to 196. Now that was.
Yeah,
I did a bodybuilding.
Yeah.
That's
show.
like a me.
Show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like a 196.
So I was 196. I did 2 bodybuilding shows, and then typically I'm most comfortable in that 220, 230 range.
Yeah.
But I'm actually.
Me too, but I don't look like that.
Right,
when
right. Well, I think you're about a foot and a half taller than I am. So don't let this chair. They had me raise it
Vicky
up.
says awesome work.
Vicky's on your side.
That's awesome.
So, but it's been good. You know, different person. You know, I ended up buying the gyms in the middle of that because John is like a serial entrepreneur.
Like Will.
Yeah, he'll buy something and he runs it and he gets bored and he sells it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Familiar.
Will.
Yeah, this is sounding very familiar.
Right. So it's been good. I mean, like I said, I enjoy helping people. It's been a life change. I mean, I learned a ton about myself through the process.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I actually hate doing bodybuilding preps because they're extremely hard. They're not healthy by any
I
means.
can't
Is that
imagine.
like getting
Yeah.
ready for like a show.
Yeah, so
I can't
and, you know,
imagine.
I'm doing 3 shows this year, one in June, July, and August. And really the only reason I do it is for mental fortitude. Like,
Yeah.
it makes you stronger if you force yourself to do something, do the hard things. So.
Because actually, it's not so much about my understanding. I don't know. I'm speaking mostly in ignorance here, but my understanding is those bodybuilding shows, those competitions, there's a level of muscle that you have to have, but really it's about cutting all of the fat so that the muscle can be seen.
Can be seen.
It is, yeah. So typically, the leaner you are, the better you do.
Yeah.
So you can be not as muscular as somebody, but if you are more conditioned, you're probably going to win.
Yeah.
And I look at it this way: I'm competitive by nature, but I'm also a realist, knowing that I'm not genetically gifted as most people in that realm.
Yeah.
So my goal is to go up there and place and look like I belong.
Yeah.
And not for personal glory, but to actually show people like, hey, you can go from here to here.
Yeah.
And you can do that.
That's
you
cool.
you can shape your body or your physique or your health how you want it if you're willing to do the things you need to do. So
It's a good story. Thanks for sharing.
That is
awesome.
an amazing
Love it.
story. Oh
And
my
working
goodness.
food every single day.
that's
Yeah.
that's
But
You know,
that's the thing.
that's
like you
my
said
food,
it,
that
you're a
pesky
foodie,
food.
but you've learned in that you've learned to let food work for you
I have
rather than food owning you.
I have, and I've learned to say no.
Right.
And before Jason of old, like if I'm in Ava, Missouri, and you're at Ma's restaurant, and she puts down a fresh cooked apple pie in front of you, you're probably going to eat it.
I'm going to eat that pie.
now
or a
most-
slice of that pie.
Right, exactly.
That's going to happen.
The funny is, most of my customers now know what I do, so
Yeah.
they're very cognitive of that.
They're like, here's
know,
a carrot.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you
Can eat
enjoy
this?
do you enjoy the? I mean, occasionally, do you like let yourself have that?
Oh yeah. So if I'm not working it toward a bodybuilding
Right.
show, then yeah, I actually have a pretty. It's by moderation.
Yeah.
You know,
People ask me all the time, like, I bet you don't eat any junk food. I'm like, actually, I eat what I want. But
Yeah.
Right.
it's not a habit for me, so that when I have it, I never feel guilty or anything
Right.
like that. I enjoy life. I don't work out so I can be at a bodybuilding competition every week.
Right.
I work out because I like feeling healthy.
that's true. Right.
But I also want to enjoy eating that apple pie with some
Hot, fresh
ice
apple
cream.
pie.
I always
yeah.
tell lifestyle. I call them lifestyle customers or clients at the gym they have no desire to be a bodybuilder, which I would talk anybody and everybody out of being a bodybuilder.
Yeah, absolutely.
And try to teach them moderation and like how to balance the life.
Right.
Where you can eat healthy and still enjoy things.
Yeah.
Like if you want to go and have pizza with your family, go have pizza.
Go have pizza. Yeah.
Just don't do it 5 days a week.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
things like that.
Yeah, so it's finding what are your goals? What do you want? I know when I got into my, like, let's see how big I can get. I mean, I'm at like 170, but at one point I was 185, and I was a youth pastor at the time. I went to play some pickup basketball, and I couldn't get up and down the court. Like twice I was dying, and I'm like, wait a second. I don't want to be big. I want to move.
Yeah.
Right.
And so as a soccer guy, you don't
Yeah,
want to be
which
built
makes
like
perfect
a football
sense.
guy,
Right.
or
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
it's really what do you want to do? You know, if you love to run, well then keep running. If you want to be a house and be stacked, well, go
Unfortunately,
power lift,
I work next to a bakery every day.
Yes.
So I was, Sue, before you said that, I was literally just thinking, what advice do you have for someone who shares a building with a bakery?
A
Well, it smells,
fantastic bakery.
it smells better than my office. I'll say that.
Fantastic.
I joke at our building, we have the Murney office and Sue has time to loaf. We have the best smelling bathrooms on the planet because literally they butt up to the kitchen
Yeah.
and the fresh bread smell goes
You never need to light a candle. That's great.
And then on Mondays, I think I'm going to call it Bacon Day. I haven't talked to the ladies about this. They do a lot of bacon prep on Mondays. I'm like, I smell like bacon.
Yeah.
It's good.
That would be tough.
Well, we are just amazingly fortunate. All of a sudden, here in Rogersville, we got.
Oh, it's incredible.
breakfast
I'm
with
loving
Los
it.
Oh, man,
Padres.
we got food.
I'm loving it.
It is. I grew up in Rogersville just like Will. And, the thing is, I remember
Wildcat Cafe.
Wildcat Cafe. And then, then we had Pizza Inn at one point in time
Yeah, we
where the
did.
pawn shop is. Actually, that was my first management job.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's a gun store now.
it's a gun store now, yeah. And, we got some good things. I remember when Sky Dragon came out.
Yeah, that was such a
That was huge. back
staple
then.
for the community. They've
Yeah.
been here for
They're great people.
over 10
They're
years.
so
They really
nice,
are.
super
great
nice.
I got to get over there.
They're good.
And I gotta give a shout out to Kim, who is their main waitress over there.
Kim's great.
Kim can handle a whole room full of people
And the drive-through.
and the drive-through,
All at the
and
same
not bat an eye, and is so pleasant and so
Yep.
kind. And Kim is awesome. I just
Kim's
want to say that.
She is.
She's delightful.
She
And
is.
but it's cool though because we had good places, right? And now I call it fill the gaps. We've filled in the gaps. We've had specialty sweets for a long time. Brenda's amazing. We've got Sue and her bakery crew. They're amazing. We've got Divine now. Like I said, it's my lunch place on Monday, even though I haven't been in Rogersville on Mondays. I've been busy. I've been in Springfield. But
Sorry to hear that.
I know.
Yeah.
But we've got
I got to go there twice this week.
It's
Ugh.
terrible.
we've
I have
got
to go today too.
all these gaps. Andre, which he was a delight to be on the show.
was. If you didn't see last
multiple
week's
people
show,
go back and watch
Go
it.
back and watch that one.
What
Soccer
he said
guy.
at
He
the
loves soccer.
end, and this is talking about your incredible achievement, what you've done with your weight loss is mind blowing. What he said at the end of that show, he said, I want to give back
Jeff.
to America. I want to pay taxes. I want to give back
Yeah.
because it's changed my life. Because he's from Indonesia. And I
Right.
mean, I was just like, that has resonated with me since that moment. And what you're telling me today, what you did, that's going to resonate with me for a long time. Because you can truly achieve anything in this country if you want to.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so this is my challenge to the people out there listening. Support it. Get out there.
Yeah.
Show
Please.
support. Be kind. Leave a good Facebook review. Maybe if you don't have a great experience, just put that in the back of your mind and move on, and don't blast it out to the world.
Give them another chance.
Most of these people, like
sure.
you're working with on this food stuff, they're working nonstop.
Well, that's what.
It's crazy.
Well, and they're responding to what you've asked for.
Yes.
So, yeah, like you now have a breakfast joint that I've been hearing people clamor for nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
And I say 20 years, probably been longer in general, but I've been hearing it for nearly 20 years. So,
Yeah.
Give it a chance and let them settle in. Like, it's an awesome thing.
Well, it's just like when Story came, right?
Yeah.
There was like, we need a coffee shop. We need a coffee
All right,
shop.
we'll do a coffee
There's
shop.
an incredible built
And-
coffee shop.
And oh, by the way, a nonprofit that doesn't pay taxes.
Yeah.
We're like, let's generate some tax revenue for the city that we love.
It's
And
awesome.
so we're thrilled to do that.
Yeah, I think
And-
it's great.
And we have
I think it's great.
coffee right here.
Rogersville is a hard nut to crack because it is a little bit, people use the bedroom community thing, and I get that, but I mean, it is a full functioning town. I think bedroom community, I think apartments and stuff out in the middle of nowhere with a gas station. There is, we do have a town here. It does exist. I know some people don't see it because maybe they live closer to Springfield. But I just can't say enough. Like, I have to go to Springfield multiple times a week for my job, and that's great. But I do love being able to stay in my community for my primary eating and groceries and things like that.
Right.
But you have to support it, right?
Yep.
You have to.
Please.
And these people not only have taken a risk just getting into the food industry, they've taken a risk in getting into a kind of a difficult market with Rogersville.
It really is. And here's, I've been in this for a long time, and I deal with a lot of different segments of restaurants, you name it, I probably sell to it. Trying to get people to come to Rogersville has been difficult. And a lot of it has to do with the sheer size of Rogersville in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then now they look at it and go look at the things that we have had that didn't make it, like the Farmer's Daughter and a few of the other ones. And it scares them.
Sure.
The other thing, too, is because we've not had a lot of restaurants, there's not a lot of buildings that are set
That's
up
a
for
big
restaurants.
problem. That's probably our biggest
So
problem.
they're looking at a huge investment and
Yeah.
with an unknown on the return.
Yeah.
And like just for instance, the hood systems these restaurants have to put in
Oh my gosh.
can be anywhere between $50,000 to $75,000
Yeah.
installed.
Yeah.
That's a lot for
Yeah.
a place
For-
that
You got to sell a
One
lot of
piece of
biscuits and gravy to
equipment.
make that
you
money
have,
back.
you have to. So
Yeah.
that's the thing is finding places that's already set up as restaurants is difficult. I know even Doug's kind of the odd one because his equipment doesn't require a hood.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing for him is I don't think he had to put a ton of money into
Right.
doing what he wants to do.
And having had the restaurants before, he had some of the equipment
he had
already.
equipment.
Yeah.
so
But he has
it's
to
a
cook
good move.
outside, so.
Yeah, Vicky's right. Food and service is a challenging market. There's lots of hours, lots of man hours, and everybody's different tastes and
more
expectations.
Yeah, more so today than ever before because
Absolutely.
last night I don't do the shopping in our house, and Shayna hit me with a text like, "Hey, could you stop by the DG and get some trash bags for the kitchen?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah." I go in there and I see the prices, and I'm like texting her going, "I'm depressed now. Thanks for asking me to do this. Why is this so expensive?
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Why am I paying $10 when I used to pay like $4 for the same
I
box?"
know.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty wild.
If that's going on with trash bags, like think about that with not just trash bags, but cleaning supplies, with the food itself. Everything is so expensive. I don't know how any restaurant is making any money.
It's
in it
wild.
And they're
anymore.
having the same issues. I mean, coming from the distributor side, we see it, and it's difficult. I mean, you feel sorry for the restaurant, especially when they all use fryer oil, for instance. And I can tell you 5 years ago, a big old jug of fryer oil, which most restaurants use 5 to 15 of those a week,
Wow.
was about $17. And today you're going to pay $34.
Wow. Double the cost.
You talk about
And you double the price of your meals and everybody freaks out.
Right.
But, that's
So,
realistic.
it's all, everything's expensive, chicken breast. I think almost every restaurant typically uses chicken breast. It's 30% higher than it was
Well,
last year.
I'm a beef cooking guy. I got
So I
the
am too,
smoker,
yeah.
and so I've just looked at. I used to buy brisket for $3 a pound, and I'm paying $9 and $10 a pound
Right.
for brisket now. And you're like, holy cow!
I saw somebody posted something the other day on Facebook that they're selling some smoked meats by the pound.
Yeah.
And it's a Rogersville restaurant. I just don't remember who it was.
Yeah.
And somebody made a comment on their Facebook post about their prices, where they were actually like $22 for brisket. I'm like, well, I look at it and go, okay, well, he probably isn't buying from somebody like me, so he's probably buying them from a Sam's Club or something like that. So he's probably paying $6-7 a pound for brisket. Then by the time you cook it, you lose 30% of your product through cook-off.
Right. Labor.
He's not making a lot of money
Profit.
on $23.
Yeah.
Or $22
not
a
at
pound. So that's a lot of it. A lot of times too is if you never worked in the restaurant, it's hard to understand what they're probably going through from a cost standpoint.
I can't imagine. I really can't imagine.
And I think a restaurant, too, it's a volume game. It's numbers, because not only do you just need to get enough people through to make your profit, you've got to get enough people through to use what you've purchased, because carrying costs is a huge deal to restaurants. Because if you don't use it, it goes bad and you're throwing it right out the back door. But if you don't have it and somebody comes in and wants it,
and they're upset, and
they're upset. I mean, it's a tricky thing.
I usually try to teach them. My company would probably kill me because we would rather do one delivery a week to somebody, because obviously it cuts our costs down.
Sure.
But from an operator standpoint, I would rather have less on the shelf and get more deliveries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and we go, like if you're in Springfield, we're there 6 days a week. Like we're in Springfield. Our warehouse is in Springfield. So
Right.
it's literally, we're driving around Springfield dropping groceries off at restaurants 6 days a week.
Yep.
But like out here, we're out here 2 or 3 days a week. Every one of the restaurants here buy once a week.
Yeah.
And I can't break them, which is fine. That's their prerogative. But
Yeah.
me as an operator, I would want to have less on my shelves.
Sure.
That's just your profit sitting on your shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if somebody doesn't order it, it's going right in the trash.
Right. Exactly.
It has to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. I think I watched that killer restaurant one time, because they kept, I think, responding to community requests, and their menu kept getting bigger and bigger
Oh
with
my
more and more
gosh.
options. And I'm
Right.
just like, this is not sustainable. You're in a small town restaurant. You've got to say, we serve these things. And that's why I think Mexican restaurants are so popular. You can have pork, chicken, and beef.
Yep.
You have like maybe 9 ingredients, and you can make a vast array of
It is, yeah.
of
That makes it pretty
dishes with
different.
that.
Yeah.
But but when you get into where you've got 37 different ingredients to make 100 different dishes, you're going to be throwing a lot of that out.
Well, exactly. Well, you look at your average Hispanic restaurant like these guys, there's about 27 items total on
Yeah.
the order guide, what they order on a regular
Yeah.
basis. Your family restaurants like your Ziggy's or similar restaurants, it's like 250.
Jeez.
So but if you've ever seen their menus, they're 9 pages long.
Yeah.
From Greek food to American food.
And
I mean, it's everything.
I
They're
just think that's
massive,
got to
yeah.
be unwieldy.
I-
Best word I can come up with. That would be scary to me, to say I'm going to have all that in my cooler and hope I sell it every week.
Yep.
Well, something drastically different has changed with food expectations from, I'm going to say, your generation, like we'll call them the
Old people?
No, the Gen
X.
Xers, the boomers, and then there's the millennials.
Not a boomer.
So the younger restaurant goers are there for a experience. Does that make sense?
Avocado toast.
Yeah, well, it's
We
more
love-
of, the Instagram world has completely changed restaurant expectation.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it has to be fancy. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just means that there's
It's got to have cool cups.
it's got to be cool.
neat
Something
plate.
about it has
Yeah.
to be cool,
Photogenic
unique,
food.
different,
Photogenic, yep.
photogenic. It has to be a little unique. And that is, to me, going to have leaps and bounds of effect on the restaurant industry over the next 10 to 15 years, because you're going to have people aging out of going to restaurants and more people coming in, and it's truly about an experience. Like if someone can it blows my mind, the 7 Brew thing, right? Mm-hmm. I still haven't been to 7 Brew, but it's become a thing, right? It's not necessarily that they make the best drinks on
It's
the
like
planet.
it's like having the right handbag. It's an accessory.
Exactly. It's
It really
Stanley
is.
mug. Exactly. It's an
Well,
accessory. Stanley mug. That's
Yeah.
another good example.
They've also flooded the market.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yes.
you see them everywhere, and
Oh, yeah.
and that's so when you're in Springfield, you're driving around, you think coffee. That's one of the things that pop in your mind. Is
Oh,
the
because
Seven Brew,
you've
they're everywhere.
seen 5 of them, and
Right.
that's a
Unless you're a
business
coffee
model.
snob like me, and you go, all right, where's the hole in the wall coffee shop
Yeah.
that has freshly roasted beans that's going to have a good cup of coffee?
Well, there's definitely a business model where a niche there's a cookie one coming into Springfield soon, right? Where they become a thing. People latch onto it, it hypes, and the model is designed to peak
Cookie?
and then be done. Yeah.
Crumble?
Yeah.
Is that what's coming?
There's one coming to Springfield, yeah. But
It's like a Hertz donut kind of thing.
there's business models that are designed not for longevity,
Right.
but for profits, and then move on to the next thing. I mean, you can think of all the things that have come and gone over the years, and there are truly some designed for that.
Sure.
And it's fine to support those. It totally is. But don't forget about the mom and pops
Right.
who are designed to feed their families, for a long time.
And
As
support
I'll
your
say,
community.
Yeah.
Seven Brew has never given a dime to the Booster Club in Rogersville. I can promise you that. They've
No.
never helped one of our sports teams with a sponsor on the back of their T-shirt. But
Yeah.
you know who has? Storytime has.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Yeah.
But think
Yeah.
about it, but most of the teenage kids want to
Yeah.
have that 7 Brew cup. They're not thinking about, because parents need to teach them, like, hey, support local because
Local supports you.
locals are supporting you so you can play your sport.
And of course, that means
And
something
you've
to
done a
all
lot of
us.
fundraising with your
Yeah.
A ton, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And
we
it-
actually talked about the fundraising, what we do for like the Wildcat Football Academy and our baseball. You know, here like I own Anytime Fitness, and it makes no sense. Not a lot of sense for me to sponsor a Rogersville Sports, but
Yeah.
I
But
do.
you do it.
But I do.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, there's not. I mean, my rule on that is I'm not just going to offer it. Like they got to come and ask me.
Sure.
And I think any Rogersville organizations that ask me for a donation or a sponsorship, I always do it because I grew up here. I still
Right.
live here. My kids
Yeah.
go here.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not always just about return on investment on that thing.
No.
It's God's blessed me to be moderately successful, and I can give back a little bit. So, so that's my take on it. Is
funny.
if it because here's the thing, with the football and baseball, that goes back to my kids most of the time, anyways.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time with a lot of these kids since they were in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And I'm okay giving my money to help them get something new or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Same thing with soccer. My niece played soccer, and I did some stuff with her all the time just because it's supporting her and it's supporting kids that I've seen grow up. And there's not a lot I can do outside. I'm not their parent, so I mean, it's not like I can go buy them a brand new pair of shoes every year. So it's I'm
Well,
giving
Lexi
back.
always had a brand new pair of boots.
She always
so.
had. She always
We call them boots. That's what they play, not cleats.
right.
Yeah.
I don't really do anything in Springfield because
Yeah.
I just don't have that personal connection. And
Well, there's a lot of great businesses in Rogersville that will support Rogersville. It's important that you support them, and just to say it bluntly, support us because we're doing it, and other Rogersville communities are doing it. So it's a little self-serving for us to say that. But,
Yeah.
We don't mind saying it. It is what it is.
It is
Well,
what
and
it
don't
is.
let the geographical limitations of the Ozark Mountains prevent you
If you can
from
travail
shopping
across
local.
the high peaks.
You can manage to
enjoyed
get
hearing your story, and thank you for supporting the community.
Your fixed wing plane in through the gap.
Still laughing about it.
It's pretty funny.
You know what she's talking about?
Oh my God!
yeah,
You know when the whole Trader Joe's debauchery happened?
yes,
Okay, well, a reporter who lives in Seoul wrote an
debacle?
article for
Seoul, Korea.
Seoul, Korea. He writes for the New York Times. Wrote an article about the Ozarks and the Trader Joe situation, and in that it said, companies haven't always considered the Ozarks because of the geographical limitations,
Isolation
of the Ozark Mountains, and somebody does a comically
appropriate
hilarious
look.
And the illustration was obviously a parody, or not a parody. What am I looking for?
Yeah, parody
Parody,
works.
yeah.
Yeah, where
You
it
saw
showed
Hammond's
this
Tower.
this mountain range, snowy mountain range, and like in the bowl is
Springfield.
with the big fork and.
It's brilliant.
that's brilliant.
So the illustration was a perfect tongue in cheek, these are the Ozark Mountains. But I mean, just again,
We're so isolated
it's
here.
Hilarious.
Can't get to us.
Us hillbillies.
Yeah. Unless your transmission's getting ready to go out, you'll be okay getting back from Branson.
You're one of any 60% of the semi-trailers crossing the country that comes through Springfield every day.
I didn't even think
We
about
literally are the
that.
hub.
Hubs. Have you all heard I-44?
I mean,
There's more train track in Southwest Missouri than the rest of the country combined, practically.
Yeah, Beth can't even get to Springfield.
Yeah.
Oh my
boy.
gosh.
Insurmountable.
Hey, and if you want to support the community, Logan Rogersville Educational Foundation, Wildcat Gala coming up soon. You can go to their site, lrfoundation.org, buy your tickets, buy your table.
Yep.
come, that's a good time. So.
That's
Hey, just
awesome.
shout out to the basketball girls. Had a great season.
Yeah.
Sorry it ended
Yeah.
last night. Boys, they play tonight, I guess, for the sectional game.
That's cool. Very
so
cool.
great success there. Girls soccer starting up. So our jamborees this Friday. So all kinds of spring sports are starting up as well. So here we
And
go.
thank you for coming. I
thanks
mentioned
for
your
having
name,
me.
like, oh, it's Jason Wells guys might be coming on the Waffle. I said it to somebody, and they're like, oh, yeah, he's Rogersville famous. So you're totally in that category.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So you're welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, I got time. I want to come on the Waffle, talk about
you go.
something.
Cool.
Yeah,
There you
great.
go.
We'll have you on. It'd be great. But other than that, we'll be back next week. Tomorrow afternoon, tune in. It's the 4th showing of Doc Zimmer's Pickin' and Grinnin'.
Oh,
We'll have a little
nice.
bluegrass show on here again. It'll be about 1
Very
o'clock,
cool.
12:30. So be watching for that.
Very
And
cool.
we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.